Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome back to Braw Cast. I'm Billy Kirkwood, and of course, this week we're joined by our special guest. Please welcome, if you would, please welcome Mikey Demus. Mikey, how the devil are you?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. As all right as we can be in this sort of wild and crazy situation we find ourselves in. Now, lots and lots of people really excited about you coming on the show. We have got a lot to cover because you're very much a renaissance man almost. You said right now at home you're very busy.
Yeah, it's weird. I've got loads of time to do stuff now, so I'm turning my hand to all kinds of things I've sort of put off for ages. And I've just moved house.
Right.
Obviously, I'm a dad as well, so parenting, writing music, building effects pedals. All the above, really. Yeah, the week goes quickly. I think the worst part about it is I don't know what day of the week it is. Like today, I thought it was Sunday all day. Honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Every day kind of feels like Sunday, and so I'm kind of screwing up my calendar a bit.
Oh no, it's kind of weird for where I am because I'm a dad as well, and the kids technically went back to school today,
Okay.
and it's kind of like, are we doing that? Because I'm not really a teacher. Like, I don't know, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Like, I think the best thing would be to start at the beginning as much as we can. Where is it you grew up?
I grew up just outside of Oxford in England. I was there till probably about the age of 16. I grew up in a small town called Wantage, which is like, that's where I went to school. That's like, my parents just moved there from various places to make sense for where they were working. And yeah, then I moved to Reading for a while, for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Newport when I joined the band. I joined Skindred, and I was there for about 6 or 7 years on and off.
Right.
And then, I've sort of found myself, I live in Brighton now. So I've been here for quite a long time now.
So when do you think where would you say you did the majority of your sort of growing up or sort of developing? Is there a big, would you say, is there a difference between you and mum and dad, or are they very much in a sort of similar vein in terms of lifestyle and attitude?
Oh God, no, I'm quite different to all my family in some ways. I mean, we're all quite creative in our own ways, but
yeah,
I think our generation just we were kind of allowed to do things that maybe our parents wouldn't have even dreamt of turning their hands to, you know.
Oh, right,
I
cool.
don't know. I think my dad would have loved to have played guitar for a living, but I just don't think he had the kind of upbringing where that would have even been an option. So I'm quite lucky that was kind of something that I could get away with.
So where was the sort of origins of your sort of taste in music or your interest in music? Where do you think that really sort of came from, those early sort of stages? Because we hear about lots of people that it comes from very different places. Where would you think your origins of music come from? Your sort of taste, your desire, your passion?
I think from my dad, probably. There was always music playing in the car and in the house, and my dad played a bit of guitar, and he taught me a little bit that started me off.
Okay.
And I sort of took it from there. And obviously you grow up with kind of your parents' music. Some people do.
What was dad into? What kind of things was dad into?
Rock and roll, punk rock. Anything from like stuff from the 50s all the way up to 60s and 70s, really. So a lot of Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and Elvis Costello, Chuck Berry, things like that. Nice. Sex Pistols, you name it, really. And it wasn't until I sort of was a teenager when I started sort of discovering my own music, if you like, and that's where I got into things like Rage Against the Machine and Soundgarden and all that whole kind of 90s, guitar alternative thing, which sort of was a great time for guitar music, in the 90s. Also bands from the UK, like I was really, I'm a massive fan of Graham Coxon from Blur, and bands that were really blowing up in the UK as well. A lot of guys who play Telecasters, that kind of thing. That's always the thing that kind of got me excited. And then I kind of got into heavier music, and this is where I find myself. But I grew up with a lot of like blues and soul, and that's always been a big big component of what I'm into. Really, I've always been into songs more so than like shredders or anything like that. You know?
Got you.
So yeah, I'm always a fan of like a well-written song, a good 3-minute song in and out.
Do you think that there's a specific song that if you're ever asked the question, one that you find was like a big influence, or you go, that one right there? Do you think you have a song like that? Because lots of artists say they do, like a specific song that they think really inspired them, or that's my one. Do you have one, do you think?
Not one so much was growing up. As an adult, I could probably narrow it down now. But I mean, when I was growing up, I was really into punk rock, and I really like the idea of, like 3-minute songs, simple songs, Ramones and Sex Pistols, stuff like that. But I think on reflection, it's a weird one, but one of my favourite songs now is probably my favourite song that is actually a Dinah Washington song called "What a Difference a Day Makes," because it's like it's 2.5 minutes and it's got everything in there. It's got like, it's an earworm. It's got joy. It's got melancholy. It's got everything, and it's in and out in like 2.5 minutes, and it's kind of perfection. And it gives me goosebumps, that song. But even though it's not like a rock song or anything, it's just it's a woman singing with a sort of small orchestra.
yeah. Makes you feel, and that's what it.
It's rock and roll in a different way,
Yeah, that makes you feel. So, obviously, you grew up and you moved on. When did you think, this is something I want to pursue as a career? I mean, you're obviously very passionate about it. You're playing music, but when do you think this is something I want to do? I mean, obviously, you end up working with Skindred, but was there any bands before that? Was there any moments sort of on that journey that made you go, yeah, this is the direction?
I mean, I've been in bands since I was sort of brave enough to sort of stand up in front of people and play a guitar, really. I've been playing guitar since I was about 11. And I think probably was in my first band when I was about 14 or 15.
What were the names? What were the names? What was the band's name? I'm always interested.
I was in a band called Gibbon, as in the type of monkey.
All right, yeah.
And then I was in a band. After that, I was in a band with my sister and a couple of friends from college called Stufa, which was like Harry Hill's cat. I was named after.
Yeah, that's right. Stufa the cat.
Stufa the cat. And and then I joined Skindred after that. So I was I was in a band called Sounds Like Kong as well, which is a Goonies reference. And but nothing huge at all. It was more sort of local opener bands, just getting in the back of a couple of cars and borrowing other people's equipment and playing and that kind of thing. But at no point was I like, this is going to be my career at all. I loved jumping around with a guitar, and I suppose it wasn't really a kind of career mindset so much as how can I avoid anything real or grown up or any kind of real responsibility. And then when I got an offer to join, this band in South Wales when I was about 20, I was like, this, and I was at the time I was actually working full time as a graphic designer. In Oxford. I'd moved back to Oxford at that point, and I was working full time doing that, which I really loved. But then I got this offer to do this band, and I jumped at the chance, and I got rid of my really nice flat in the centre of Oxford and ditched this sort of well-paid job and went and lived on my mate's sofa for about 2.5 years to play music. And I would say for a living, but I didn't make a living out of it for a very long time. It was probably about 3 or 4 years before I ever saw a penny, really. But it was just surviving on the kindness of strangers and friends and family and making it work. Because that's sort of part of it, really, Getting any kind of financial comeback from playing music is the road hard travelled. It wasn't a career. I didn't really have everyone has aspirations, I suppose. Yeah. That's why you pick up a guitar in the first place, is to kind of go, I want to do a band, want to be a rock star, but you never really think, right, here's what I'm going to do to make it happen. It just happened to me, and I was, just went with it, and just was tenacious, if anything else.
It's part. I think the creative industries, particularly the music industry, are probably one of the few ones where you'll work for free for so long
Oh my God.
without getting anything back. And people, when you talk to them about it in the real world, and you go, "Oh yeah, I do this for free. I'm doing this for exposure." I mean, you wouldn't ask anyone to do that in an office. You know, they'd start a fire and burn the place down.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. It's about driving that passion and getting that experience. And so, how do you feel when you think Skindred's things are starting to move here? I don't know, the sort of some of the jigsaw puzzles are coming together.
I guess like around sort of 2004, we were touring in the US a lot. I was in the US for like 9 months out of the year for a couple of years, for the early 2000s, because we had US management, US representation. We were on a US label, and it was very much a US state of mind we had about just sort of making it work over there. And we bounced between all kinds of big support tours. You know, we did like an arena tour with Korn. We were out with Seven Dust. We were doing all kinds of big stuff, and our songs were on the radio, and the album was doing really well. I guess just looking back, that was a big sort of pinch yourself moment of just seeing that all happen, really. I'm constantly thinking, this is actually happening constantly to this day. Even like 20 years later, almost, I'm like, this is mental.
Yeah, it's weird when people say you can't almost enjoy the big moments, because it's almost like you're waiting on somebody going, right, that's you, away you go. Yeah, oh, great! Yeah. It's been a great run, thank you. But
wake up, Mike. Time for school, Mike.
But look, obviously the music's going well, but then you go, well, I'm getting somewhere in this industry, but then there's a completely under industry that you then go back into. You mentioned the fact that you'd been a graphic designer, and then of course the pedal company. Red Beard Effects. When did that become a sort of part of, I'd like to do this as well as what I'm doing with the music, although obviously they're connected. So
weirdly enough, I was introduced to a friend of mine now called Rob Chapman, who's a big YouTube guitar person. He's a friend of mine now, and I was offered a gig to sort of play rhythm guitar in one of his projects, which I did for a little while, a couple of years ago. And we were playing a show out in Norway, and I was sat on a plane next to Rob the whole way there, and he was sort of just putting ideas in my head, really. And he was like, have you ever thought about doing anything like that? And I thought, wow. And I gave him a load of reasons why it wouldn't work or I couldn't do it, and then he sort of systematically just removed every reason why it wouldn't work, and just was like, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. And then I came away from that going, actually, I hadn't even thought about realistically doing something like that. And then put a lot of thought into it, and approached another friend of mine, Adrian Thorpe of Thorpe Effects, about getting some advice to get that idea off the ground. And we talked about it, and then a few weeks later, Thorpe came back to me and said, I want to do this with you. I want to start this business with you, and let's do it properly. I think he probably thought I couldn't do it without him, and he was probably right. So quite quickly we sort of turned the idea into pedal designs and a whole brand. And obviously he had the infrastructure already existing with his own company that allowed us to we kind of piggybacked onto that. And quite quickly it went from talking to doing, and before you know it, we've got pedals like actually in stores around the world, and it's actually a thing. I'm still kind of like, how did that happen?
So that's two industries that you're already thinking, how is this going on? But it's amazing. It's what I love is it's all kind of connected with your own sort of personal image. Obviously, we've got to talk about it. Red Beard Effects, and we're looking at. Oh, there we go. There's a shirt. It's all tied in. I wear one of these every day.
It's not like coincidence. I wear this all the time. Honestly.
Well, I'm going to get in some trouble from the Broad Beard guys, because I've got my LeChuck t-shirt from Monkey Island.
Nice. So LeChuck's Revenge, very good.
LeChuck's Revenge. I could show you my tattoo, but we don't have the time. But
Guybrush Threepwood.
There you go.
Yeah, man, I'm a nerd.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But we've got to talk about the beard. We've got to talk about the beard. Now, it comes slightly from a technical point of view, I guess. When we go into like these alternative worlds, or particularly creative worlds and all that, people have a look that they're able to establish for themselves, which is personal, which they're passionate about. Right. Obviously, they get to you get to be who you want to be, which is one of the best things about it. When do you think that there's a shift from obviously, I'll come out and say it as a Scotsman, I guess. You've got an image of someone that's from Oxford, no disrespect, image of someone that comes from Oxford. And the gentleman I'm looking at now, I'm delighted to say, would break that mold, I would say. When did you think, obviously you're in a band, so we can establish it, but when did you start going for this beast on your chin that we have?
So it wasn't really by design. It was sort of a happy accident, really, where when I was sort of in my mid-20s, like I had like a mohawk, and I caught a photo of myself from behind one day that someone had taken, and I had this massive balding patch going at the back that no one had told me about, and I was like, "Is that what I look like from behind?"
With the mohawk?
Yeah, there was just like this massive. I didn't realize, but I totally was losing my hair, and it totally thinned out of the back, and I just thought, oh my god! And right then and there, I realized that I was losing my hair pretty much. So that week, I just shaved my head, never looked back, and I thought, well, that's gone. I can't be doing with that. That's no good. So I sort of had the skinhead look for a while, and then I just started growing this beard, and it sort of grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. And it just kept growing, and I just went with it, really.
Yeah.
I didn't, never thought I was capable of growing this great big beard, and never really tried before, but here it is. And people seem to dig it, so I'm kind of like, it's kind of become part of my whole deal now,
Yeah.
It seems to have afforded me nothing but great opportunities, so I'm sort of stuck with it, It would be a problem if it fell out, I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely. Where did I mean? There's always that point where you go, "Oh, I'm growing the beard," and then it just keeps going and going and going. You said it wasn't a decision, but one of the things you have to start doing is you have to start looking after these bad boys, which might not seem very rock and roll to some people, but if you want these things to look nice, you have to, because especially if you're going out on stage, you're facing the public, and it's always funny that a friend of mine who has a good 9-inch beard now always says, you never ever see anyone in Sons of Anarchy stopping to put oil in, and it's like it's a fair point, but you have to think at some point they did. What was your sort of regime going into? I've got to start looking after this. It's part of my, and I hate using this term, brand, but
totally.
It's part of the brand.
Totally. And for the longest time, I didn't do anything really. I kind of shied away from any kind of maintenance or any kind of regime or any kind of care, really, because, like you say, I didn't consider it to be very rock and roll. I just was like, I've never really been into the idea of, some hipster running his fingers through my face and kind of sorting me out, And even now you can see I'm really unkempt because we're all strapped inside. But a couple of years ago, I sort of was catching again photos of myself on stage, and my beard looked really out of control and didn't look good. And the way you sort of look at yourself in the mirror before you go and do your thing, and then 2 minutes later, it's sort of half of it's over there, half is over here. It's blurring all over the place. It's like, this ain't good, It's like catching yourself from your bad side and going, I got to get this under control. So, then I did start going to see someone regularly to kind of keep it under control, keep it trimmed, because it was a hell of a lot longer. I mean, it was down to about here. It was like there was like 2 of them, and they were really, really hard to control, and it did its own thing, and it looked unkempt, and I kind of just took a lot of the length off, and even now it's a bit overgrown and it's a little bit wonky.
From a technical point of view, this is going to sound like a silly question, but when it was that lot longer, and you were obviously in full flow with the band and the drums and what have you, did it cause you any issues?
Do you know what? Never really on stage. I mean, I found my beard causes me more issues just in day-to-day life, really. Like, eating, going to bed. That's the point where you find yourself like pulling it or getting stuff stuck in it, and those are the moments where you just want to take it off and hang it up. Like just hang it off at the side of the bed. But no, generally on stage, other than it may be blowing around in the wind sometimes if you're outdoors, but it's not really a big deal. I just kind of get on with it. But yeah, it wasn't really until a couple of years ago I really started giving a shit and really taking a bit more care. And like I said, this lockdown's kind of thrown that a little bit, because I kind of like the whole thing of going to see my guy now, and he sorts me out, but I haven't been able to, so I'm kind of DIYing it again.
All right, okay. I think we all are. That's the mental thing. So you want to add to, obviously you've got the product range with Red Beard Effects. You've got the music going. When did you sort of become aware of Braw Beard? I think would be the first thing, because first of all, you add to your product range, because we've got the red. Well, we can show it right here. I don't know. I think I'm doing a very good job of that. You've got your own Red Beardum.
Medium, yeah. So myself and Thorpe, my business partner, we're both big fans of like science and the periodic table, that kind of thing. We're kind of geeky, and something we wanted to kind of do for our pedals was kind of wanted to have a kind of a theme that runs through all of them, and we kind of had this idea like they're powered by red beardium, like this sort of imaginary element that we sort of made up, and then I've obviously known John from Braw Beard for a while, and he's very kindly sent me all kinds of bits and pieces over the years, which I've gratefully received and always enjoyed using. And then when I launched Red Beard Effects, we wanted to, Thorpe and I wanted a couple of other just things in our line that we could, if someone comes to the website and they're not decided on a pedal, or they're maybe not even a guitar player or any kind of musician at all, but maybe they want some kind of memorabilia or some merch. It just seemed like an obvious thing, really. And so I reached out to John to concoct us something special, and he was really really stoked to be involved, and we turned it around really quickly, and it was a thing again, just like that. An idea turned into an actual physical thing really quick, and it's proven to be really popular. And I think it was just the unique thing that no one else was really doing. No other kind of guitar product manufacturer was kind of doing that, and it's just something I could really get behind, and it was a nice little thing to have in our accessories range.
I gotta say that when I got sent the bottle the other day, I thought it was very cool. It was very It reminded me of the TV show Look Around You. It was an element that didn't exist. Like it should. Like somewhere I saw a periodic table that someone's looking at for the first time ever and going, "What the hell is Red Beardium?" And loads. I thought it was very very cool. And in terms of brand, and it's still available. I'm told. You can still grab some if you want to head over to broadbeards.com. And of course, I'm sure you can get it via your site as well. Would that be right?
Yeah, you can get it over at redbeardeffects.com as well.
Smells really nice. Feels really nice. Right. Well, it's very nice. I mean, I've got to put everything in my mustache right now, which I've grown purely for my own amusement. So it seems. So I don't know. Seems to be the way it goes. No, my luck. It's going to be right down there. But you were talking about other things, just quickly, so we can know a little bit more about. You're talking about your other passions. Bit of a geek. If you're okay with my using that term, I feel I feel it's my word as well, so I could use that cheerfully. What's your other sort of passions that you're into, as well as music, as well as putting together the pedals and what have you? You sound like you're a busy man. What do you do in terms of unwind? What is your sort of passions?
I cook a lot. I ride a motorbike, and in between looking after my daughter as well, there's not really a lot of time for a lot of other things, really. But I'm lucky that I live down by the beach, so the weather's great at the moment. In the last few weeks, I've been outside as much as I'm allowed to be, going for a walk, exercising and so on. Just doing that. But I'm a petrol head. I love taking things to pieces and breaking them and then figuring out how to put them back together again and that kind of thing. I do a bit of gaming when I've got any time to spare.
Great stuff. How old is your daughter, if you don't mind me asking?
She's 4 in a couple of months.
Oh my God, she's very small. is she showing any signs of getting into the things that Daddy's into yet, or is it?
I mean, she knows about pedals and she knows about beards, and she knows about guitars and she knows about motorbikes. But
Right.
I don't know whether she has any interest in any of them. But she knows what they are, and we can have little chats about them all the time, which is quite exciting. You know, the fact that she knows what guitar pedals are, that's kind of cool.
Oh, that's a good sign.
But she likes playing with them. You know, you plug a guitar into a couple of pedals and let her go wild. You know, she doesn't really play an instrument, but who doesn't like twiddling knobs and making funny noises? Everyone likes that.
Oh, exactly. It's much better than an activity teddy, isn't it? Or that type of thing. Well, that's very cool. Well, we've got it asked as a sort of standard question that we always ask. The beard is looking good. You say it's on cam, but I think it's looking great just now. Obviously, you've got plenty of red beard room in it. Again, making sure to get the plugs
I do have some in my drawer, actually.
There you go. But what would be your sort of because for someone that has to live a sort of mix of different lives, live on the road, life at home, and what have you, how do you look after that bad boy as we're sort of going from day to day, from situation to situation? What's your sort of go-to in order to get it looking good?
Well, I only wash it, maybe once or twice a week, not too often. I don't want to dry it out. More than anything, the hair tends to look after itself, but I'm finding like that I have to like take care of like my skin underneath, you know, because anyone who's grown a beard knows that it gets itchy, it gets irritated, or it gets, you know, fed up, and you have to show the face underneath a bit of love because it gets forgotten about. So, you know, my girlfriend's been really awesome, and like, because I'm kind of like, I'm not like Mr. Self-Care at the best of times. So my girlfriend's like, I found this really cool thing for your face, and you know, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go, and then it's awesome. I'm like, damn it, she's got me again. She's found me all kinds of really cool stuff to look after my face, all kinds of balms and potions and things like that, just to rub into there. But I tend to use the red beardium beard oil most days, just to kind of keep it looking and smelling nice. I give myself a bit of a trim around the sides because I tend to go a little bit Uncle Albert around the sides if I let it go. Got you. The length sort of is a bit slower, but here I can go quite quickly, so I have to stay on top of that.
I've never figured that out. I'm sure there's a technical reason for it, but we seem to be going this way quicker than going this way. I've never understood what that is.
I don't know what it's about.
But I think very quickly, you were saying you've got loads of things coming up, or you're working on things. Anything we should be particularly looking out for that you've got coming up?
So obviously, Skin Dread's kind of waiting to see what happens with the COVID-19 situation. There's some. We're not getting on a plane anytime soon. We obviously had a lot of stuff coming up in Europe over the summer. There's a few festivals in August in the UK that I'm hoping maybe might be still going on, depending on what the situation's going on. We are putting together some stuff for the end of the year. We're obviously writing at the moment, even being apart from one another, so we're doing that. I'm working on my next pedal release. We've obviously got the Red Mist Mark IV, which is this one, which is
nice,
which is a really gnarly drive distortion EQ pedal, which is available at redbeardeffects.com. That's my kind of like high gain, really awesome.
And is that available now? Yeah,
that's available right now.
Cool.
And then we've got the Honey Badger Octave Fuzz, which just came out at the beginning of this year, and that's a really aggressive fuzz with 2 octaves down and 1 octave down. So it's like a double sub-octave fuzz pedal, which is really, there's not really another one like it. It's really gnarly and really awesome and fun. And we're working on our third pedal right now, which we're looking to hopefully release in the near future.
I gotta say, I am absolutely loving these names of the pedals: Red Mist, Honey Badger.
Oh, thanks.
Keep them coming.
The next one's got a really good name. I can't say. But the name of the next one's really good. It's the best thing.
All right. Well, we're not gonna have to look out for that. Okay. I think the best thing to say would be, Mickey, where can people get in touch? Where can people check out what you've got going on just now? Sounds like you've still got loads of things in the pipeline. Obviously, Skin Dread is working towards some new music, but they can still buy merch. They can still listen to the back catalogue and everything, of course, you're doing. Red Beard Effects. Where can people find you on social media and what you're up to?
So my main kind of hangout is on Instagram, and that's just at Mikey Demus. Obviously on there I've got there's a link in my bio which pretty much links onto anything and everything that I'm involved with. My band, my effects pedals, you name it really. So yeah, come check me out on there basically. Come and give us a follow and I will give you the goods.
That's what you want. That's what. Mikey, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you very much for talking to us. And we look forward to finding out. I'm intrigued to find out what the next pedal is now. The way you said it and the fact you. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I get a feeling I'm gonna now. Mate, that's an absolute blast. Again, thank you everyone for watching the Braw Cast. Remember, we're going to be back next Monday with another episode. You can find everything over at brawbeardsoil.com. And don't forget to head over to Instagram and check out our special guest, Mikey Demus. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have yourselves a great night. Bye.
Cheers.
And